This has to be the worst day of my life. Before I get into that, I want to talk to you about what's going on in our future and what's going on in Wisconsin, all kinds of stuff. So, we're getting ready to dip down into the negative temperatures. I think it's supposed to be -6 Thursday night. This is Tuesday for me. You'll get this on Wednesday. On Wednesday, it's supposed to get down to 19 for the high. So, tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm going to buckle down the hatches. I'm going to top off my water tank. My water tank is about half empty right now. So I'll take the well, I'll put water into the tank. That well water will heat up my tank to about 58 degrees. And so these cold temperatures supposed to last, I don't know, a couple days. Not too long. I think we can handle a couple days pretty easily. I'm going to put straw inside the chicken coop. The rooster, for some reason, won't get up on the roost. So we're worried with his feet down there on the ground of the chicken coop that he might get frostbitten or something on his feet. So he's big. He's about 15 pounds. That should keep his feet warm. So I think we're okay. Of course, we got the firewood. I've been bringing firewood in, getting it all dried up. It rained a while back, so the wood is wet. So you bring it inside, that wet wood will dry out pretty quickly with a good fire in the wood stove. So I have 3 different stacks, and I kind of rotate through the stacks. As one empties, I fill it up and go to the other stack to withdraw from. I guess these temperatures are going to be pretty much nationwide. In Wisconsin, I think 7 days ago, 5 days ago, something like that, they had a power outage. And tens of thousands of people were out of power. Well, I just looked. Some people are still out of power. Now, this is Wisconsin. They're up north. You would think they would have a pretty good grasp on cold weather and problems that would happen. I used to do business in Wisconsin. Man, they get some ton of snow. It was crazy. We're supposed to get snow here. It's going to be 3 to 5 inches. They're telling us to expect power outages everywhere, all throughout the country. Since I've started living off grid, I've always found it interesting how people are not prepared to have a little backup supplies of things. Living here, I've learned to have a backup of everything that I need. For example, in order to make electricity, I have to have an inverter. An inverter changes DC electricity into AC electricity. If my inverter goes out, I have no electricity. So I have 2 inverters. One's bigger than the other. One can run the well pump, and the other one just is much smaller. The reason I always am using the smaller one is as it's inverting the electricity, it's using electricity. That power transfer, that as it's changing, is quite significant in the bigger inverter. So I use the smaller inverter, and then when I need to run the well off the solar panels, I just hook it up to the bigger inverter. Well, if the little one burns out for any reason, I still have the big one. I can hook it up until I get a new one. I have a well pump, deep submersible pump, deep well pump. I have a backup one of those, and so if that one went out, I could just pull this one up out of the well, change it out, put the other one back in. I have 2 generators. I have a propane gasoline, it's dual fuel generator. It's 2,500 watts. I like this one a lot. I didn't think I'd like it because it was propane, and propane's supposed to be hard to start, which it is hard to start, but I like that. And I've got it hooked up to propane. And I always have about 7 full tanks of propane. Propane doesn't go bad. And then I have another Champion generator that's just gasoline, and I run it to charge batteries. It's just easier to have one up here and one down there. But this one can charge batteries just as well as the other one. It doesn't matter which one I use. And then I got solar panels. What I find interesting is how many people don't consider this. We're getting ready to go into negative temperatures. Wind chill here is going to be at -30. And they're saying expect power outages. But I don't think people really think about it. Their only source of power is the power grid. I watched a video today, and he must have said, get a generator, I don't know, 50 or 60 times in a 12-minute video. Generator, generator, generator. I thought, okay, I got the point. And yeah, get a generator if that's what you want to do. But what I would say is know what your systems can do. Carolyn, ex-husband, and she worked with him, was a heating and cooling specialist. And he would get calls all the time in the middle of winter. He said, my gas furnace isn't working. So he'd go out there. Of course, they didn't have any electric. The electric was out. And they would say, well, I didn't know the furnace didn't work without the electric. Well, it wouldn't. And these newer ones are even worse than the older ones. The older ones had a pilot light that at least would kick on. But she said the thermostat sometimes had to run off the electric from their furnace. And also you got that fan that needs to spin. And then the newer ones, they won't kick on because they got carbon monoxide detectors on it. So people just aren't prepared. I guess they think, well, it can't happen to me. Well, I'll tell you, the worst day of my life was the day it did happen to me. I don't know, about 15 years ago maybe. I lived in a 100-year-old home and we had an electric furnace. Now I also had a backup heater. I had a kerosene heater. The kerosene heater we left in the kitchen because the kitchen was always so much colder in this 100-year-old home. I ran the ventilation. A long story, I don't want to get into it. Well, we had what I would have considered a blizzard. They didn't say it was a blizzard. It wasn't a blizzard, but I thought it was a blizzard. I don't know, we probably got 5 inches of snow, but the snow drifts taller than me in some places. Well, it knocked out the electric. I had this little 1,000 watt generator. Now this one's 2,500 watts. Now, if you have a space heater, most space heaters have 2 or 3 settings on it, like 500 watts, 750 watts, and then 1,500 watts. So I had a 1,000 watt generator and a 1,500 watt electric heater. So it had different settings. I could only run the 700 watts because the generator wouldn't pull the 1,500 watts, obviously. So we got this little space heater in the living room trying to keep us warm, and got a kerosene heater in the kitchen trying to keep the pipes warm. I've said this many times in the video. I do not know why I didn't turn the faucet on and let it drip. But whatever, but the whole purpose was the kerosene heater was to keep the pipes from freezing. So I don't think people really consider how dangerous this can be. We were in serious trouble. We slept in the living room. We were out of electric for days. It was crazy cold. If we'd have lost that generator, something would have happened, ran out of gas. I guess I would have figured out to use the kerosene heater. I hope I was that smart. But we were all huddled around this little space heater. It was nuts. But now I don't have any fears. And I live off grid. That's what's so crazy. I look at my situation and I have nothing. Nothing. And I'm in better shape than most people if things were to go bad. But Carolyn and I were sitting around thinking, our biggest appliance is the refrigerator. The problem is at nighttime on really cold days, the batteries deplete really quick. Think about your car. On really cold days, it's hard to turn over, right? Even if you have a new battery, it will struggle trying to turn over a car in cold weather. Batteries just don't do well in cold weather. My camera right here, in cold weather, will die before I can finish a video. In temperatures that we're talking about, -6 degrees, I'll have to do videos inside, or I have to carry an extra battery. People will tell me, get a lithium battery. Well, you can't even charge lithium batteries when it's below freezing. They'll catch on fire. So all batteries are the same way. Well, we got to thinking about this. Since the refrigerator is our biggest consumer of electricity, and our batteries are gonna struggle in this cold weather, I was thinking, well, maybe I'll just run the generator at night and run a trickle charge, basically, on the batteries to keep them charged. But I just did not want to run that much gasoline because it would have been about a gallon a day. So gas price is $2.65. Over the 3 days, we'd have been up $5-6 on electricity. And I just didn't want to do it. So Carolyn came up with a brilliant idea this morning. Since temperatures are going to be so low, why not take everything out of the freezer, put it in a cooler? And we do this all the time when we're canning. We'll put all our food in the cooler here, leave it outside. The meat will be colder outside in the negative temperatures than it would be in the freezer anyways. And then we can shut off the refrigerator. All the stuff in the refrigerator, we don't have milk or anything. The thing that would spoil the worst is we have canned chicken open for the cat. So what we're gonna do is put it in the far corner of the house, away from the wood stove, underneath the bed. We did this the first year we were here, and it got really cold like this. We were curing meat, and we put it underneath the bed, and that temperature underneath the bed with a blanket over it would get down to 40 degrees because since you have a blanket over it, the heat really isn't getting inside the blanket. All the cold temperatures coming through the floor is being held in by the blanket. So it's kind of like insulation. And so we'll put all the refrigerated goods underneath the bed on the far corner to keep those things cool. So now we don't even have to worry about our batteries being depleted in this cold weather. So as I said in yesterday's video, our biggest concern is our water freezing. You know, we got that tank outside. I've got all the ventilation run into it. I'll put a up next box at the end of this video, to yesterday's video, so you can check out that system I've got in place. But it's really not even a concern because we have a backup system, which is our well. And I showed you in that video how the well won't freeze. So even if our water freezes, we'll still have water. If things get really bad, we can fill buckets of water, bring it into the house. If for some reason this doesn't work, I don't know why, we got 2 generators, 2 well pumps, all that stuff. But if for some reason the well didn't work, we still have a natural spring down the hill that we could go and get buckets of water. It won't freeze because the water coming out of the hill is groundwater. It's warm. You could stick your hand in that and actually get your hand warm if you were in a frostbite situation. Which is another thing that we need to talk about. With wind chill being in the negative 30s, they said that you can get frostbite within 30 minutes of being outside. I think it's a lot quicker than that. So I don't know how to tell folks to prepare. Like I said, I watched this guy, he said, get a generator, like 60 times in one 12-minute video. If you don't already have these things available, or you don't know what you need, it may be too late. I've been trying to warn folks all year that we're at crunch time. They've been telling us the grid cannot keep up with electric usage if temperatures got cold. Well, here it is, temperatures getting cold, and they're telling us expect power outages. I watched another YouTuber and he was talking about using a Mr. Heater portable buddy. And I do like those. They are very nice. We have one. Our house is just under 200 square feet. And when we were transitioning last year from winter to spring, we used that quite a bit. It has an oxygen sensor on it, so if you get high carbon monoxide, it'll shut off. And it's propane. The problem is it's very small. So if you have a bedroom, 200 square feet or so, you might be able to keep that warm, but with these temperatures being so cold, I'm not entirely sure that it would keep up. You're gonna have to have a real small space. Like I said, I use that little space heater, and it wasn't even sub-zero temperatures. It was probably 19 degrees, and we struggled to stay warm. That buddy heater is gonna have a real tough time trying to keep you warm in these temperatures. But it's better than nothing. And you can get those at Tractor Supply store. So if you'll click this up next box, it'll take you to that video where I was talking about the water and how we're keeping it from freezing. So I hope I can inspire you to stay warm so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.